Hey there, hey, it's Aaliyah Janae, and welcome to my channel. So, it has been a minute. It has been a minute, but I am back at you with another video, and today I would like to talk to you about how the Lord determined my major. A lot of students are getting ready to go back into school or preparing to enter into college, and I just felt led of the Lord to talk about how He decided my major and how I ended up getting the degree that I have now. Before we get into it though, I would love if you could go ahead and leave me a like and subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell so that you can be notified of any upcoming videos. Let's get into it. So if you have been watching my channel for a little while, one thing you would know from my Q&A video is that I was not a good student in school, and that ranged from about 6th grade up to my senior year of high school. I just wasn't really motivated, especially in high school. I didn't really care about school, didn't want to be in school, had no plans for college or anything of the sort. I actually planned on dropping out of high school my junior year of high school. If you would like to know more about that story, comment down below and I can definitely share. But I was preparing to drop out, and ironically, an English teacher who didn't know that I was getting ready to drop out, but just noticed my demeanor shifted, noticed I wasn't the happy girl that I normally was. She wrote me a letter and made sure that I read it when I got home. And I did, and she really encouraged me to just keep going, and I didn't drop out, though my grades were atrocious. I stayed in and kept on going. Now, entering into my senior year of high school, I all of a sudden got this idea to strive for college and get my stuff together and really try. And it was very interesting because my first and second quarter of my senior year, I actually worked so hard that I got a letter, a letter and a pin like that you have on a letterman's jacket, for how greatly I increased my GPA. For most of high school, I was ranging between like a 1.5 and maybe a 2.3 at the best. And the thing was, I was very smart. It wasn't that I was struggling in school. I just didn't care about school. Like, my teachers would be so frustrated. Every parent-teacher conference was, she's so bright, but she doesn't apply herself, every single time. Because that really was the case. I was very bright, very smart, but I just didn't care. And so I would be in class answering questions that nobody else could answer, but I wouldn't do my homework and I wouldn't study for tests or anything like that. So my grades, obviously took a hit. But one thing I did really like was art, and I really loved fashion. I still love fashion, but so I decided, well, I could go to art school. My grades aren't good enough to get a scholarship to, a regular school. They weren't good enough to get a scholarship into art school either. But I also didn't think my grades were good enough to get into a regular school. Art schools are a little bit more lenient. So I ended up deciding that I was going to get a degree in fashion design, and I applied to the Art Institute of Colorado, the only school I applied to, and I got accepted pretty easily. And I did get a scholarship for a portfolio that I presented, and that was that. That was the end of it. So I thought, and I was just going to go ahead and get a degree in fashion design. Well, while I was in school, I was taking a speech class and an English class because they were requirements. 2 different teachers, 2 different times. They didn't even know each other, completely separate. And both of them, by the end of the quarter, because we had a quarter system, pulled me aside. You had to meet with your teachers. Teachers had to meet with their students and talk about what they think about their work and all this stuff. And both of my teachers pulled me to the side and they said, "Are you sure you want to go to art school?" And I was like, "What? Yeah, I love this. Like, this is great." And they were like, "No, but you're so good at speech and you're so good at writing. Like you should pursue this. You really should go to a more credible school." And I was just like, "Nah, thanks, but no thanks." Well, as things would go, I ended up having to move to Chicago. And when I got to Chicago, I was still pretty much in the mindset of I'm going back to art school. I'm going to get my fashion design degree. At this point, it really was a matter of just being stubborn because I really didn't love it being in school. I really realized that I loved fashion as a hobby, but didn't really want to make it a career. But it was just about proving a point at that point. Proving a point at that point. Anyway, so I got to Chicago. I had to go to a junior college or community college, depending on where you are from. And because I literally moved here December 31st of 2013. So there is like a week before school started. So I enrolled into a junior college and was just trying to figure things out about, you know, how I was going to get in art school and everything. Well, something crazy happened and I ended up getting a scholarship. And this scholarship, by the grace of God, literally by the grace of God, I was only able to get it in Chicago. Like I literally had to move to Chicago to get this. There's no way I would have gotten it in any other state. I had to get it in Chicago. And it was basically through my dad being in the military. It was about him being enlisted. Is that the right term? I don't think that's the right term, but him joining the military in Chicago. And a part of it, he actually had to also leave the military in Chicago, but they found a loophole and they ended up giving me this scholarship. And this scholarship was that I could go to any school in the state of Illinois, full ride, all 4 years, full ride. The catch was it had to be a public school. So I'm thinking, that's not a problem. Okay, we got this. I started looking up schools in the state of Illinois, and would you believe it? There literally was not a single school, a single public school in the entire state of Illinois that offered fashion design. Not one. Every fashion design school in the entire state was private. So now I'm conflicted, right? Do I throw this scholarship away for the sake of a dream that I really don't even really want? Or do I change my entire life and go to a public university and figure something out? I'm going to take that scholarship. So I got the scholarship, took the scholarship, and was kind of just, you know, flying, moving along at the school that I was at, not sure what I was going to do, just trying to figure it out, was undeclared at this point. And one day I went to a friend's graduation party, and this was my first time. She was graduating with her associate's degree, and this was my first time ever being around her family or anything like that. It was a new friend. I mean, like, I, you know, was new to Chicago. But her mom starts talking to me, and the most I knew about her family was just that they were saved and she was saved, and that was about it. But her mom starts talking to me and she asks, you know, well, you know, what are you doing? And I told her, and she was like, what school are you going to? And I told her, and she was like, what major are you taking? And I, out of nowhere, when I say out of nowhere, like, I shocked myself, okay? Out of nowhere, I said English, and I paused and was like, no, I'm not. Like, I felt like I was lying, but then I was like, well, I mean, I'm undeclared. Why did I say ink? Like, it just came out so quickly. And I was really just kind of mesmerized by that. And so I went home and I really just started thinking about it and praying about it and was like, Lord, why did you have me to say English? Like, what is going on? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? So after much prayer and speaking to many people, getting counseling from mainly my pastor and talking to my godmother, I ended up applying to Chicago State University, and I went ahead and declared a major, and my major was English Secondary Ed. And you think the story ends there. Well, it doesn't. So I went to school for orientation, and I met with a lady, wonderful, wonderful woman who really helped me a lot. And sat with her about doing secondary ed, and she explained a lot. She helped me a lot. It was wonderful. And I thought, this is it. Cool. I got it. Let's go. Well, Chicago State went through some stuff. If you're from Chicago, you know. If you're not, you might still know. Chicago State was looking at potentially closing while I was enrolled. And the reason why the school was looking at closing was because basically the president at that time pretty much screwed the school over. But even greater than that, the mayor of Chicago at that time was screwing the school over and didn't want to provide funding. And so in the midst of that, they did a mass layoff. And by mass layoff, I literally mean they handed a pink slip to every faculty member of the school. So at this point, pretty much everybody's in a panic and pretty much thinking, yep, this is it. So I'm praying and like, Lord, what do you want me to do? Am I supposed to switch schools? Like, what's going to happen? Well, in researching it, basically at this point where I was in my schooling and how many credits I had I switched schools, I would have lost like 40 credits. We don't do that, okay? We don't want that. That is not what we want for our life. So I was really praying like, Lord, we need a miracle. Like, something needs to happen. And something did happen. The Lord really worked it out where the school didn't close, and they ended up bringing back a lot of people, but they still kept some people laid off. And one of those people was the person who was helping me along the way with my classes and everything, and was basically advising me, but she wasn't an advisor. So then I ended up getting stuck with a different advisor. And if you know anything about college, then you know that not all advisors know what they're doing. So I got stuck with this advisor who did not put me on the track of English secondary ed. But I did not realize it until one day, a friend of mine, I'm in class, and a friend of mine was like on something where they were looking at all of their credits and their expected graduation date and all that. And I was like, yo, what's that? And so they told me how to get to it. And I pulled it up, and this was December of 2017. Yes, December of 2017. Now, mind you, I graduated high school in 2013. So in my mind, I should be done, right? So I pull it up, and I kid you not, this thing tells me that I have over 108 credits. But I have 2 years until graduation. Okay, so if you know anything about college, you know you only need 120 credits to graduate. So why do I think actually I may have had 120 credits. I actually may have had like literally 120. You only need 120. Why is it saying that I am expected to graduate in 2 years? And in 2 years, that would have been 2020. So I saw this and was immediately emotional. I went to my pastor literally that evening after I left class. It was a night class. I went to my pastor in tears and was like, I can't be in school for another 2 years. Like, I just can't. I can't do it. Not for the same degree. Like, it's one thing to be in school for another 2 years and I'm getting another degree, but not just for the same one. And she was like, calm down. Everything will be all right. Have you considered changing your major? And I'm like, I already changed my major. Like, what do you want from me? I already changed it. Like, this is enough. This should be enough. I shouldn't have to change it again. She was like, well, look into it, figure it out, whatever. So then I went and I talked to my godmom, who is an educator, and she also has many degrees. So I was like, look, college, you can help me. So she had me bring her all of my documents, all of the classes I had taken, all of the credits I had received, and had me also bring her what I needed, and had me bring her what I would need for an English literature degree. So she's having me go through both of them. We're going through both of them together. And basically what we find out is that my advisor was advising me for an English literature degree, not English secondary ed. The thing about English secondary ed, what makes it different is that, one, you need education classes. I had maybe 1 or 2, but I hadn't had a lot, because at my school, you need to apply and be accepted into the College of Education. I hadn't done any of that, which also meant I had to take the test that I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the TAP test. Yes, I had to take the TAP test. which I hadn't done. So all of these things were incomplete because I wasn't told to do them, because I didn't know I had to do them. So I ended up really like debating it, praying about it, and it worked itself out where literally if I changed my major, I would have graduated that spring, so the spring of 2018. And if I didn't, I would have been in that boy for 2 more years. So after praying about it and fasting and praying and crying and being so frustrated, I ended up changing my major to English literature, and I graduated that spring of 2018 with an English literature degree. So what am I doing now? Well, I'm getting my master's in fine arts with a specialty of creative writing. So really, I'm telling you, the Lord really worked it out, because anybody who knew me before knew that even though I wasn't a very determined student, one thing for sure was that I was very good at English. I still am very good at English when it comes to writing and editing and all of that. And so it just made sense. And that's the thing about God, right? Like, some things we try and figure out, we try and work out and all of that, but some things really just make sense. And God is just so incredible in that way, that He can make the difficult things easy, that He can guide you if you let Him. And I'm so grateful now that that is my degree, because it's helped me tremendously in so many areas of my life. I've been able to tutor students. I've been able to copy edit books. I've been able to proofread books. I am working on my own book, right? So it has propelled me into a life I never could have imagined. So I really hope that this video has encouraged you, and I hope that if you are trying to figure out what you are going to do for your education or just for the rest of your life, that you know to ask God. He will lead you, He will direct you, He will guide you, and you will not be disappointed. I know that from experience. I know that for a fact. The Bible says that the blessings of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. And in being obedient to God and His will, there will be no sorrow. There will be no anguish. You can trust Him. He will lead you. Simple as that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to leave a like and click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Go ahead and comment down below if this video encouraged you, or if you are getting ready to go back to school or go into school. I love you, and Jesus loves you so much more. And remember, you will never overcome that which is hidden, and you will not conquer what you refuse to confront. Let's break some chains, y'all.